And this
All right.
one, this
This one,
this chapter.
15 of Plasticine Soul. There is a Vriska, an Irania, and a Mina. Irania talks throughout. Vriska talks in the first part, and then it switches off to Mina in the second part.
Okay. Um, I'll do Vriska.
Oh, and there's a scratch at the very end, which
Okay.
I think Bucky will do because it's
Yeah.
good.
Pink. I guess I'll do
I can.
Vriska. Well,
You'll do
I'll take
Vriska.
Irania and Mina.
Ronnie and Mina are talking in the same scene.
And I will take Irania.
yeah.
And
Okay. I guess I get
Bucky can
Vriska,
have
Mina, and
Mina.
Scratch.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
So does that mean I'm Irania and Vriska?
You're just Irania.
Okay.
Irania talks throughout. She's the character that this is POV for.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's talking to Vriska, and then Vriska leaves, and then she's talking to Mina.
And this is Plasticine Soul or 5 years?
Plasticine
Plasticine
Soul.
Soul.
Okay, yes.
You have it up.
I'm grabbing the link for that somewhere.
To introduce this fic for those who are not aware, this is a fic that I wrote. It is an alternate universe that has a hybrid of Before Us and Alternia. It primarily focuses on the dancestors as POV characters, although the beta trolls are also in here in slightly different role than they originally were. It's the cyberpunk AU story.
Nice.
And we are on chapter 15.
Plasticine Soul, there it is.
Yes. Let me know when you're both ready, and I will begin. This chapter I don't think has any specific trigger warnings for anything beyond what the fic normally has.
Ew.
Second day of the 12th bilunar perigee. Authority safe house, North Alternian capital. Vriska's voice echoed in the nearly empty room that Irania had been given as a workspace. It contained nothing but a desk, a telnet terminal, and a chair.
I know what you were.
Irania turned and stared at her. The woman loomed in the doorframe, the light of the hall seeping in around her into the dark room. She was smiling, all teeth and not a trace of joy. She flexed the fingers on her robotic arm, and the metal clicked softly together.
Did they know what you were? I wonder.
Brisket trailed off and stepped into the room. Irania kept watching her.
What do you mean?
She knew what Vriska meant. Thought she did, but she didn't want to say it herself. Brisket chuckled.
Don't worry, I'm not going to tell them. Besides, I already know the answer. Alterning an intelligence service, you spent 4 sweeps inside. Of course, having a certain talent helps with that.
She tapped her forehead and winked her bio eye. The effect was unsettling.
I can't do it anymore.
Rania said.
My head just hurts when I try.
Yeah, that'll happen.
She made a quick out of the side of her mouth.
Happened to me when I got this fun stuff installed.
She gestured vaguely to her face. Irania sighed and turned away from Vriska, back to the terminal in front of her.
Why are you even here? I was told you were in a safe house with Mina.
No, you were told Mina was in a safe house with me. Don't bury the lead on how you feel, Circuit.
Vriska reached out and patted Irania on the shoulder. She shivered.
Anyway, we're both here now. Terezi and Fussy Fangs decided it was the right call.
Fussy Fangs?
Irania knew it was a nickname, but she'd only met a few members of the authority so far, and that didn't ring a bell.
Our fleet contact. Don't worry about it. You'll meet her if you need to meet her.
Another pat on the shoulder, another shiver down Irania's spine. Irania bent down to the terminal. She'd mostly just been tapping away at the keys, sometimes typing her thoughts into the note-taking program and hoping that something would jump out at her.
Why are you here?
Irania asked.
Just to bother me and vaguely insinuate that you know more than my colleagues about my own past? Which, no kidding.
Well, you're right.
Vriska's tone changed, and she leaned up against the desk, uncomfortably close to Irania.
I want to talk about Scratch.
There was a wave of discomfort that fell over Irania when she heard the name. Scratch.
Yeah, the one who promised you the world and then dropped the hammer on you. Told you he could help you jump back into the felt. How well's that working out for you?
Irania grimaced, and Vriska let out a humph.
I thought so. I'm not going to keep playing with you. I know exactly who you are and what you were. I was an IS for 5 sweeps before I had my little accident and got swooped up by the authority.
Rania scowled and tried to focus herself, tried to reach out through the pain in her head that suddenly appeared like a hot lance in the middle of her forehead.
That wouldn't work when you were in your prime.
Brisket shook her head.
I might not be able to reach out like I could before, but no one else is getting in here either.
She tapped the middle of her forehead and smiled.
You can just ask me, you know.
Fine.
Rania turned to look at Vriska.
Who the fuck is Scratch? Really? This is feeling weirdly personal.
Oh, they did a good job on you.
Vriska said with a laugh.
Even cut off from your abilities, you can still read people.
So you're not going to answer?
Oh, shit. Hold on. Mouse cursor has decided to run away from me. Where the hell? Brisket glared.
It's not that simple. I've had a bit of a run-in with Scratch in the past.
She ran her bio hand over the metal surface of her left arm.
A few sweeps back, right before the authority decided they wanted me on board.
What happened?
Irania asked. Brisket leaned forward, the weirdly humorless grin on her face again.
A few sweeps... Wait. No. It was the strangest thing. We started hearing rumors about a man named Scratch who was getting involved with a lot of local shit on Alternia. Like, we kept hearing his name.
Why didn't I hear this?
Irania shook her head.
It was a couple sweeps before your time. He went dark right after, and we covered it up.
She paused and fidgeted, tapping her prosthetic arm with her fingers. She was trying to decide how much she was going to tell Irania, something she was all too familiar with.
Scratch was a strange one,
She said quietly.
He would approach crews indirectly, always through some kind of proxy. He would give out these assignments, and he always seemed to know exactly what they needed to hear.
She looked right at Irania, who shifted nervously.
The jobs didn't even always make sense, and he'd pit them against each other. No one could figure out the pattern. I got close. Once.
She rubbed her metal arm again.
He had something to do with that, I assume.
Rania pointed at the arm, and Vriska nodded.
Yeah, my section finally got word that Scratch was having a crew hit a data storage center and stealing a bunch of segmented encryption drives. I went in with a team to stop the heist, and...
She grimaced.
It was a trap. The crew was already dead, and he planted a dummy drive that... Yeah, it was a fucking bomb, okay?
She took a deep breath.
And then, after that, he was just gone. We didn't hear any more about mysterious jobs or anyone being contacted by him, so whatever he was looking for, I guess he found it.
Brisket clenched her metal fist and grimaced.
Authority came calling a half-sweep later. I guess it made an impression. So, no more blood class. Right hand of the Empress and all that shit Terezi likes to talk about. Or maybe left hand would be more appropriate in my case.
She smiled. Something still wasn't making sense. A piece that was missing, and a rather obvious one.
Why is Scratch back then?
Irania asked. She saw Vriska nod. That was the question to ask.
We're not sure, but he's been back at least since your job at the Fleet Depot.
She looked Irania dead in the eye. Irania felt herself starting to shake, because it seemed so obvious when she thought about it. But the pattern hadn't been quite the same. Things hadn't been exactly the same.
That's not possible. Cronus Empora gave us that job.
Sure,
Brisket said.
but where did he get the job from?
She snapped the fingers on her right hand. Rania didn't say anything. Brisket nodded.
Feels bad, doesn't it? Knowing you've been used without even realizing it? People use people all the time. That's just alternating in nature. The difference is some of us know when and how we're being used, and others don't.
The Fleet Depot job. They'd been sent to recover a set of segmented encryption drives, high-end fleet tech that someone was willing to pay a lot of money for.
Scratch set us up on the depot job?
Rania's mind was still having trouble processing it, how they'd been used for so long.
No, I don't think so.
Brisket responded.
I think he genuinely wanted whatever was on those drives. That job was simple bad luck. The one you just tried to pull was the setup.
Why, though?
Brisket shrugged broadly.
Who fucking knows? If I knew, I wouldn't be talking to you.
She turned to step away from the desk and turned back toward Irania.
By the way, Mina's here too. She wanted to talk to you or some shit.
5 minutes after Vriska had left the room, Mina had appeared in the door. She looked different than the last time Irania had seen her. Something was in there behind her eyes that Irania couldn't quite place. Mina closed the door to the small room when she stepped inside. Suddenly, the room was dim, lit only by the small lamp on the desk. The gap between them was closed in a heartbeat as Mina walked forward without hesitating. Her lips were pressed up against Irania's, her arms around her waist. Irania blinked and closed her eyes. A moment later, apart, Mina looked into her eyes.
I thought you were dead.
She said quietly.
Oh, wait.
It's Mina again.
Okay. I thought I'd never get to tell you.
There was a sincerity in Mina's voice that Irania found almost uncomfortable. There was no one else in the hospital room to hear her.
After I found you on the roof.
Mina reached up and touched the burn scar gently. There were tears in her eyes. I think... Yeah, that's Mina.
It was just like half a sweep ago.
Irania struggled to remember that there was only a blank wall before she woke up in the hospital. Something had happened. Mina had seen something that changed her. Her hands traced their way down to the bandaged spot on Irania's side.
I thought you were dead.
Not a chance. Bitch.
Irania smiled and leaned in to kiss Mina again. She was smiling when Irania pulled back again.
After everything you did for me back then?
Irania winked.
So what now?
Mina asked.
Authority wants us to help them. What? Hunt down Scratch? Not sure how they figure we're going to be able to do that.
I don't know.
Irania let her head sink down.
I'm not even sure where to start. The only reason I haven't walked is I don't think Scratch will just leave us alone.
Mina was looking past Irania's shoulder, staring.
I thought you said you destroyed the drive.
Irania felt her hairs prickle all over.
I did. Why?
Because it looks like you've got one of his message logs up on your terminal.
The prickling sensation exploded into a full-blown crawl.
No, I don't.
She turned.
Before you respond, sweet girl, I need you to understand something. The only reason you're not all dead is because of me. There's something larger at work here. So either you can be a good, obedient little girl and play along, or I can really fuck you up. Your choice.
Irania looked at Mina, then back at the terminal. She slowly approached as if it was going to bite her, and sat down in front of the keyboard.
What the fuck do you want? You tried to kill us!
Please, if I wanted to kill you, you'd be dead. I calculated a 99.9% chance enough of you would survive, and a 23.6% chance all of you would survive. So honestly, you're quite lucky here.
What's the point of this? Fucking with us?
As delightful as that sounds, generally speaking, no. I'll be plain.
Irania stared at the next two lines, her brain not quite willing to believe what her eyes were seeing.
I want to destroy the Alternian Empire, and I want you to help. Alright. Okay. Plot's picking up.
Yep.